6 seasons in Cleveland, 13 quarterbacks. Somewhere along the way, do I not get to look at you as a head coach and say, could you find somebody? Could you find anybody?
Kevin Stefanski's input is what got him fired. Because Kevin Stefanski allegedly wanted Dylan Gabriel. So you had your input, and your input got you up out of there.
We saw a lot of progress with Shedeur this year. I think that's both mentally, physically, playing the position. He's still very much a work in progress, like many rookie quarterbacks are. But I think we saw some really good things in terms of his playmaking, his accuracy, his ability to extend.
I think it's just overall the mentality, like things are gonna happen. That's just how the league is. And moving forward, just focus on what we can improve, individually for the next head coach.
If you're telling me a 2-time coach of the year is forced to be mute and have no impact whatsoever, I'm with you. But if he has a voice, then I got to look at him and say, well, damn it, how come these cats going in and out? I got to look at Deshaun Watson.
The Cleveland Browns just pulled the trigger on one of the most anticipated coaching firings of the season, and the sports world is absolutely losing its mind. Kevin Stefanski, the 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, is out, gone, finished. And Stephen A. Smith didn't just react to this news. He absolutely torched the man's entire tenure in Cleveland with the kind of fire that makes you lean closer to your screen.
There's nothing more distasteful than losing an NFL game. And it's finite. You either win or you lose.
This isn't just another coaching change. This is the culmination of 6 years of quarterback chaos, offensive incompetence, and what many are calling the systematic sabotage of rookie sensation Shedeur Sanders. The kid who was supposed to be Cleveland's savior got thrown into a meat grinder of dysfunction, and now everyone wants answers. Let's be crystal clear about something. Kevin Stefanski is not some scrub coach. This man won Coach of the Year twice. That's more than Mike Tomlin, more than John Harbaugh. He's regarded as an offensive genius, a quarterback whisperer, a guy who was supposed to bring stability to one of the most cursed franchises in professional sports. But here's the brutal reality. Winning individual awards means nothing if you can't actually win games when it matters.
Worked hard, navigated our ship for 6 years through the inevitable ups and downs that we face in the NFL. Outstanding father and husband. And I think even you all who are around a lot probably underappreciate how much time we all spend together. And
the Browns released their statement early this morning, and it was about as corporate and sanitized as you'd expect. They thanked Stefanski for his leadership, called him a good coach and an even better person, praised his dedication, all the usual PR speak. But then came the dagger. Our results over the last 2 seasons have not been satisfactory, and we believe a change at the head coaching position is necessary. Translation, you failed. You're done. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Owner Jimmy Haslam didn't waste any time either. First thing in the morning, he addressed the media and made it official. Kevin Stefanski would not be leading this organization into the 2026 season. General Manager Andrew Barry stays. Stefanski goes. That tells you everything you need to know about where the Browns think the problem really was. Stefanski put out his own statement, full of gratitude and grace, thanking the organization, the community, the fans, his coaching staff, and especially the players who fought through injury and adversity. It was classy, it was respectful, it was exactly what you'd expect from someone who just got fired but wants to maintain his reputation for future opportunities. But here's what he didn't address. He didn't address the quarterback carousel. He didn't address the offensive struggles. And he certainly didn't address Shador Sanders.
Overall the mentality, like things are gonna happen. That's just how the league is. And moving forward, just focus on what we can improve, individually for the next head coach.
Now let's talk about Shador, because this is where the story gets really interesting. The kid found out about Stefanski's firing the same way everyone else did, through the media. Not a phone call, not a meeting, not even a text message. Just suddenly, boom, his head coach is gone. When reporters asked him about it, Shedeur kept it professional, saying they just found out a couple seconds ago and that things happen in the league, but you could see it in his face. The frustration, the uncertainty. This is a rookie quarterback who is supposed to be developed, nurtured, given every tool to succeed. Instead, he got chaos. The accusations against Stefanski regarding Shedeur have been circulating for weeks. People in and around the organization have been whispering that the coach was actively sabotaging the young quarterback. Now, let's be careful here. We're not talking about cartoonish villain stuff, where Stefanski was twirling his mustache and plotting Shadeur's downfall. But sabotage in the NFL doesn't have to be intentional. It can be neglect. It can be poor game planning. It can be refusing to adapt your system to fit your quarterback's strengths. It can be cycling through so many different schemes and personnel that your young quarterback never gets a chance to find rhythm or confidence.
Keenum, Nick Mullins, Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco, P.J. Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jeff Driscoll, Jameis Winston, Bailey Zappi, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, okay? I get that it's a tough list. I understand that. But you're talking about 3 or 4 people in there that could help you look a little bit better than you looked.
Stephen A. didn't hold back, not even a little bit. He went down the entire list of 13 quarterbacks that Stefanski cycled through in 6 seasons. 13 different signal callers, 13 different skill sets. And at some point, you have to stop blaming the quarterbacks and start looking at the one constant, the coach. Now, some people will defend Stefanski. They'll say he never had a fair shot. They'll point to the Deshaun Watson disaster, which absolutely set this franchise back years. They'll mention that Baker Mayfield left, that Joe Flacco left, that injuries destroyed their plans. They'll argue that Cleveland's roster simply wasn't talented enough offensively. And you know what? Some of that is fair. The Watson acquisition was one of the worst decisions in NFL history. $230 million guaranteed for a quarterback who fell off a cliff. That's on ownership, not Stefanski. But here's the counter-argument, and it's a strong one. Elite coaches elevate mediocre talent. Kyle Shanahan loses Jimmy Garoppolo and plugs in Brock Purdy, a Mr. Irrelevant pick, and the offense doesn't miss a beat. This year, Purdy goes down, and Shanahan plugs in Mac Jones, and they keep winning. That's what great offensive coaches do. They adapt, they scheme guys open, they maximize whatever talent they have. Stefanski is supposed to be an offensive genius. That's his reputation. That's why he won Coach of the Year twice. So why couldn't he develop a single young quarterback? Why couldn't he find any consistency? Why did his offense consistently rank in the bottom half of the league when offense is supposed to be his specialty? These are legitimate questions, and they don't have good answers.
Drop-off happened on your watch. You knew what the situation was with him off the field when y'all acquired him and gave him $230 million guaranteed. And that's not Stefanski. Of course, that's ownership, Haslam, and we get that part. But again, I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson in terms of him not being great. I'm talking about him literally falling off. I mean, a disaster. That was on your watch.
Stephen A. is absolutely right to put some of this on Stefanski. Yes, Deshaun Watson's failures are primarily on Watson himself. The off-field distractions, the rust from time away, whatever mental or physical issues were happening. But Stefanski was the coach. He was supposed to help rehabilitate Watson's career. He was supposed to design an offense that played to whatever strengths Watson still had. Instead, Watson looked worse in Cleveland than he did in Houston, and that's saying something considering everything he was dealing with. And then we get to the most damning part of Stefanski's tenure, the mishandling of young quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel barely got a chance. Shedeur Sanders, the most hyped rookie quarterback the Browns have had in years, got thrown into a dysfunctional system with no support structure. The kid was supposed to be the future, and instead, he's now sitting there wondering who his next head coach is going to be before he's even played a full season. The numbers don't lie. 8 wins and 26 losses over the last 2 seasons. That's historically bad for a coach with Stefanski's pedigree. The Browns had one of the best defenses in football for stretches, led by Myles Garrett, who became the NFL's new sack king. The defense gave this team chances to win games, but the offense, Stefanski's offense, couldn't capitalize. They couldn't score points, they couldn't protect their quarterbacks, they couldn't establish any identity or rhythm. And Shedeur Sanders, the rookie who was supposed to change everything, got caught in the middle of this mess. The kid has talent, everyone knows that. He's got arm strength, mobility, football IQ, leadership qualities, but none of that matters if your coach can't put you in position to succeed, if the offensive line is constantly breaking down, if the play calling is predictable, if there's no consistency in the game plan week to week. There are reports that Sanders and his camp felt like they weren't being set up for success, that the coaching staff wasn't adapting to his strengths, that the offensive scheme was too rigid, too complicated, too dependent on timing and precision that a rookie simply can't execute without proper support. Whether you call that sabotage or incompetence, the result is the same: a wasted year of a young quarterback's development. The contrast between Cleveland and other organizations is stark. Look at what C.J. Stroud did in Houston as a rookie. Look at how the Texans built their entire offense around his strengths, gave him weapons, protected him, and let him grow. That's what competent coaching and organizational structure looks like. Cleveland gave Shedeur Sanders chaos, turnover, and dysfunction. Now the Browns move forward with Andrew Berry still running the front office, which is interesting. Some people think Berry should be gone too. After all, he's the one who signed off on the Deshaun Watson disaster. But ownership clearly believes the roster construction isn't the primary issue. They believe the coaching was the problem. Time will tell if they're right. The search for a new head coach begins immediately, and you can bet every candidate is going to ask serious questions about the quarterback situation. Is Shador Sanders the guy? Can they build around him? What's the plan if he's not the answer? Will they have the autonomy to make personnel decisions, or will ownership force another Watson-level mistake on them? For Stefanski, this is a brutal end to what looked like a promising tenure. He came to Cleveland in 2020 with so much hope. The team went to the playoffs and won. Baker Mayfield looked competent. The future seemed bright. But then the Watson trade happened, and everything fell apart. The offense never recovered, the quarterback position became a revolving door, and ultimately the results on the field couldn't be ignored. Stephen A. Smith's rant will be remembered as one of the defining media moments of this coaching change. He didn't just criticize Stefanski, he systematically dismantled the man's entire body of work in Cleveland. He questioned his decision-making, his development of young players, his offensive scheme, and ultimately his worthiness to get another head coaching opportunity. It was brutal, it was entertaining, and it was mostly accurate. The Cleveland Browns are now at another crossroads, something this franchise knows all too well. They have a young quarterback in Shedeur Sanders who needs proper development. They have a strong defense that's being wasted. They have an owner who's desperate for success and willing to spend money. What they need is stability, competence, and a clear vision for the future. Kevin Stefanski's firing marks an end to an era that promised so much and delivered so little. Whether he gets another shot in the NFL remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: his time in Cleveland will be remembered as a cautionary tale of what happens when even good coaches can't overcome organizational dysfunction, quarterback instability, and ultimately their own limitations. The Stephen A. Smith takedown was harsh, but sports is a results business, and in Cleveland, the results simply weren't there.